here it is. I'm finally doing it. It's early, but I figured I got time, you know. It's done, so I'm officially starting my Rob Zombie review series. Alright? It's official. Officially, official. And we're starting with House of a Thousand Corpses, because that was his first film. And, this was actually not bad. Pretty good, I guess. So yeah. This movie goes all the way back. It came out in 2003, but actually its origins go all the way back to 1999. And Rob Zombie was hired by Universal to do a Universal Halloween Horror Nights based around his music videos. He then entered a deal to do this movie, and upon completion and doing a test screening, Universal backed out. They said, nah, you know, they're not going to go for this. This isn't going to work. And so, which is funny, because Universal would later do a Halloween Horror Nights based on House of a Thousand Corpses. But, so Rob Zombie bought his movie back from Universal and took a quick jaunt over to MGM because he made a joke about how MGM has no class or anything, something like that. They didn't dig it. But Lionsgate came a calling because Lionsgate wanted to, get more into the horror spectrum. And this would be released a year before Saw took Lionsgate to Soaring Heights. So, yeah. So as a result, there are actors in this that weren't big at the time that this was made, but maybe came out, because you have Rainn Wilson, who is only 2 years out from becoming Dwight Schrute on The Office at this point. And you have Chris Hardwick, who only at this point was probably the host of Singled Out on MTV. But now he's a talking dead. He's been in other things. He's all over the place. Yeah. And the story revolves around 4, I'm assuming, college students. Although, I don't think so, because Rainn Wilson was like 34 at the time. So maybe like 4 people on a road trip there. Although it could be a 34-year-old college student. And John was 30 years old in Greece. Or 30 years old, almost 30 years old during Greece. So, but 30-year-olds in that movie. Anyway, but they go on a road trip and they get sidetracked by Captain Spaulding's gas station, where they decide to take a trip to see this tree where a supposed serial killer named Dr. Satan was hung. And then they meet baby Firefly, where they're taken to the Firefly family and shit goes down. So, okay. I liked this movie. Okay, I liked this movie. I don't hate Rob Zombie's movies. I don't see my problem with Rob Zombie comes from his Halloween movies. I don't like them at all. The first one I'm warming up on, but it's still nothing when it comes to Halloween. Not for me. And I thought when I watched Halloween 2 in the theater, it was fine. But the more and more I watch that movie, the more and more I just want to throw it in the trash. But I spent money on buying that thing, so no. Although I have seen a DVD of it in a bin at Walmart, and it doesn't say unrated on it, so I'm curious, but I don't want to buy it and then it just be the unrated version. It's the theatrical version. I don't know. I thought about there's like a Blu-ray double set, I think it is, or a DVD double set of the theatrical versions you can find. It's like a Canadian release you could find on the internet. I thought about getting those, doing the theatrical versions, but there's only a couple of differences in each movie, so I don't know. Anyway, right off the bat, I just want to say that Bill Moseley and Sid Haig, rest in peace, as Otis B. Driftwood and Captain Spaulding are the best things in this film. They are fantastic. And, you know, like this opening scene is like a whole showcase for Sid Haig. Where getting robbed and they're like, I'm gonna give you the count of 10. 1, fuck you. 2, fuck your mama. When he says he's giving him money, he's like, fuck you. And he's like, I'll count to 10. 1, fuck your mama. 2, fuck your sister. 3, fuck your grandma. He won't give nothing. And then, like, Erwin Keyes comes in to make a cameo. He does show up a little bit later for something, but otherwise he's not much in it. Erwin Keyes comes in, knocks one of the guy in the back of the head, which kills the one guy, and they have the other guy. Captain Spaulding has a gun and goes, most of all, fuck you! And it shoots him in the head. It's like a commercial thing at the beginning. It's really weird because it's contradicting, because it begins with this fictional TV show with the announcer says Dr. Frankenstein, but then the guy comes on and is like Wolfenstein. Dr. Wolfenstein. But then he goes, I am your host, Dr. Wolfenstein. Which one is it? And Rob Zombie was actually supposed to play that, but he said the clothes look too close to what he wears in real life, so they gave it to this guy. He's like the production designer or something. A producer, and so Rob Zombie does play his assistant for one scene, but yeah, and then we're introduced to our main characters, right? We got Jerry Goldsmith. I do not know if it was named after the famous composer, but I don't know. Played by Chris Hardwick, and then you have Bill, played by Dwight Schrute himself, Rainn Wilson. And then you have their girlfriends, Denise and other chick, because I can't remember her name. Shelly? Is it Shelly? I don't know. I'm going to call her Shelly if that's not her name. It's just easier for me to call her by a name, so I'm going to call her Shelly. And they were sleeping in a car, and then they get to this gas station. They're talking to Captain Spaulding. Apparently they're looking for weird attractions. They do this ride, which is like famous murder things, including Ed Gein. And you see the Ed Gein thing, like, this movie could be a pseudo remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's set in Texas. It's about a sadistic family that kills people. They don't eat them, but they kill people. It's very close. You know, and you could say that Dr. Satan could be their version of Leatherface. Could be. Down to the fact you got Bill Moseley, who was chopped up in part 2, playing a role here. It could be a sort of remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it might be better, in my opinion. It's not as jarring to me, this movie. I mean, there's gore in this. There's gore and tits. And if you like that, then you're gonna love this movie. But yeah, it's yeah. So they get told about the Dr. Satan thing during the tour, and so Spaulding writes him a map, and they start driving out, and they pick up a hitchhiker who's walking in the rain, and yeah, it's Baby Firefly. Her name is literally Baby, played by Sheri Moon Zombie, and well, I've said this before, but Sheri Moon Zombie cannot act. And especially in this film, like, you know, people give flack to Rob Zombie and Paul W. Anderson for putting their wives in movies. Even like Len Wiseman put there are 3 directors I know of: Len Wiseman, Paul W. S. Anderson, and Rob Zombie, that put their wives in everything. I don't think that Wiseman and Beckinsale are married anymore, but put their wives in almost everything. The difference is Mila Jovovich and Kate Beckinsale can act. Sherry Moon Zombie cannot. And this is just like, this was the most annoying thing. She can't act. Her lines sound terrible. And her laugh just makes me want to shove my, oh God. I'm like, shut up. It's annoying. She is the worst thing in this film. And I'm sorry, Rob Zombie, wife, but as no one have the stones to tell you that your wife can't act her way out of a paper fucking bag. I mean, come on. I remember when they announced the Munsters, and everyone was like, "Oh, Sherry Moon Zombie's gonna play Lily Munster." And sure enough, she just can't. No, she can't act, and it's terrible. But it does get better because they actually go to Baby's house, which is the Firefly house, and we meet her assorted family members. We meet Mother Firefly, matriarch of the family, and then there is Otis, as I mentioned, played by Bill Moseley. I believe they recast the role of Mother Firefly in the next one, but I think it's played by the actress name, I think is Karen Black. She's great. I wish she would be the one, but they changed the actress, so I don't know. But they have Baby in all three of these films, and I really don't know. Maybe they toned her down in the next one, I don't know, but she's all over the place here. It feels like Rob Zombie just let her loose, let her do whatever, which I can understand, but, yeah. We got Grandpa Firefly, and there's also RJ, who's played by the actor I know as Carl from Big Fish, which is a movie I want to review one of these days, because it's a great film, a Tim Burton film. It's great. Ewan McGregor, Albert Finney, great film. Billy Crudup, and then we have. Actually, he's tiny. He's tiny. Actually, RJ's a different actor. And, yeah, so, RJ shows up, tows the car back to their house, and then introduced to the Firefly family, and then they're invited to dinner. And, well, we see these reports. There's like two different plots here. One of our own characters, and then the side, we have the father of Denise, I believe it is, who is, who is worried because his daughter said she'd be back by 11. She didn't show up. And so he calls the cops. And they go to Captain Spaulding's, excuse me. I ranked him up. You promoted. Captain Spaulding's gas station. And one of the deputy or whatever that's with him is Walton Goggins, playing a character named Nash. And it's Walton Goggins, pretty cool. And so they go in there, asking questions, and then he gives, give me the instructions, so he writes the map, and they go there, and they find the house, and they find, there was a story on the news about about cheerleaders gone missing, and they find they're dead, they're all dead there. Bill is turned into Fish Boy. That's right. He's killed and turned into Fish Boy. And, Jerry is pretty much mutilated. He has most of his hair cut off. It's really, really weird. And he's murdered. And then Denise gets killed later. But they did this weird thing where, they dressed up like bunnies or rabbits so that they can run, rabbit. Run, rabbit! And then she runs as far as she can. She almost gets away, but Baby jumps on her, stabs the fuck out of her, so we got one left, and that's the one I'm calling Shelly. But, yeah, it's weird, because, Otis, they kill Denise's father, and then Otis puts his skin over him, dressed up like him. It's really weird. I'm like, whoa. This movie, that's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm just saying. And I've watched some reviews where like it's an original concept. I'm like, this is no, like this is not an original concept. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but more extreme, but somehow less jarring for me. I don't know. Maybe because it's a less grainy '70s like than the other one, than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. It's weird. This movie is weird, but somehow I like it. You know. So Shelly's the only one left. I think it's Shelly, and she's able to get away, or we think she gets away. She gets attacked by Dr. Satan, and then causes a cave in, and crawls out and finds Captain Spaulding, where Captain Spaulding says, "Okay, I'll get you to the hospital, and but then Otis is in the back." Okay, so I don't understand how Otis got in the back. The only thing I can think of, and the way this went, is that Otis is there, he pops up in the back, he goes to stab her, and it cuts to her back on the ground with Dr. Satan. Maybe she imagined getting out, but I don't know. Why would she imagine Captain Spaulding? She met him once. I don't know. It's really weird, Eddie, but the style that Rob Zombie uses goes from sometimes being really cool to why are you inserting random stuff into this film? There's like interviews with an old man, an old lady, I don't know, and there's randomly like I feel like the tone of this film, like they meet baby and all of a sudden there's like a flash to her talking about killing people, and I'm like, would it have made more sense if they and the audience were unsure if they could trust baby, but like you introduced to her and like snap, we're cut to her, you know, sometimes you gotta kill people, that's what you do, and I'm like, well, that takes away all the tension because you know they're gonna die. So if there's, you know, it's a horror movie, but like if you didn't, in that Rob Zombie, and I know those were edited in after the fact because they were added in post production from the original film. So yeah, that wasn't needed, and cutting to it randomly just makes it a little more jarring. It's just like, but overall, not bad. And the music, I like the music in this, man. The music and the way it looks gives it an unknown, like, point of where it takes place. Obviously, this was filmed in 2000, so not everybody would have cell phones, you know what I mean? And everybody had cell phones at that point, so the payphone stuff. But it also adds to the realism, the, you know, the idea that you're not really sure what year this is taking place, and you know, so yeah, I like it. But yeah, yeah, the only real big problem I had was Sherry Moon Zombie and those things that were edited in. Those are the only things I really didn't like. But other than that, this was fine. I thought it was decent. So when it comes to House of a Thousand Corpses, I would say it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts on House of a Thousand Corpses? Leave a comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Next is The Devil's Rejects, which people say is probably his best film. I'll be the judge of that, sir. Until then, thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.